guys, it's your girl Gems, your favorite medical student, and I am back with another video. So in my last video, I did a review of my first year of medical school where I shared with you my grades from first semester and then my grades from the second semester, and I promised you at the end that I would share with you how I went from basically failing, like absolutely failing medical school, to like getting a whole bunch of A's. So that's what this video is about, because I keep my promises. Okay, so there's a few things I want to get out of the way before I actually like get into the tips. The first thing is that the tips I'm about to give you guys are not just for medical students. So if you are studying any other degree besides medicine, you can use them, okay? If you are in college, you can use them. If you are in pre-med, you can use them. If you are in high school doing sixth form, upper sixth, lower sixth, you can use them. If you are in fifth form or fourth form studying for your CICs, honey, you can use them. So it's not just for medical students. And I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm cooking using a pressure cooker. The second thing I want to let you guys know before we like get into the tips and start this video is something a lot of people do at the beginning of their videos, and it's a disclaimer, okay? Not everything that works for me is gonna work for you. So I don't want you guys to just like completely like null and void your study routine, like just completely erase everything and start from fresh. If you have study routines that are working for you, definitely stick to it, okay? Because it's working for you. But if you want to incorporate some of these tips that I'm giving to you, that is fine. Just don't completely throw away your entire study routine just to do all of these things, because all of these things may or may not work for you. So if you're going to incorporate any of these into your routine, just, you know, start by adding maybe one or two. But if you don't already have a study routine and you have no idea what works for you, then by all means try every single one of these tips. But what I want you to do is that I want you to pay close attention to what works really great for you and what absolutely fails and doesn't work for you. And I want you to take out what doesn't work for you and stick to what does. So now that all of that is out of the way, let's get into the tips that got me to go from a failing medical student to getting awesome grades. So the first thing I started by doing was to make a schedule. Now, I don't know about you, but I was never the type of person who liked making a study timetable, or I just was never the person who did. Like in secondary school, they gave us a study timetable, but the thing about it was that it was not personalized, so everyone got the same study timetable, and obviously that didn't work for every single person's schedule. So, you know, I just threw it in my bag or in the trash and, you know, never looked at it again. So what I want you to do is to get a piece of paper or use an app or whatever you want to use, and just like think about or look at all the courses you have to do, or the subjects you have to do, and just, you know, make like a kind of like a week planner and write down what you want to do on each day. So for me, for example, I would do cardiovascular system say on Tuesday and Thursday, and then I would do respiratory system also on Tuesday and Thursday, so like separate it into like different times of the day. And then I would do probably, I think, hematology on Mondays and Wednesdays. So like kind of think about what you have to do and just put it into a timetable so you know exactly on each day what you want to study. Now the next tip I want to give you guys is to plan out your day. This helps to keep you very organized so you know exactly what you're going to accomplish throughout the day. And when you do plan out your day, I want you to try to stick to it as best as you can. And when you do, I want you to tick off each task as you go along. I know for me that really helps me to feel accomplished, and it helps me to see how much I'm really putting in throughout the entire day. So the third tip I want to give you guys, and it's something that may seem a little obvious, but I'm going to say it anyways. Study with no distractions. And like I said, I know this sounds obvious, but what I mean is that I want you guys to study without your phone. I mean, like, I don't know, but for me, when I am studying, I like to feel like people are near me. So I like to keep my phone right next to me. However, I don't want to be interrupted all the time by messages, and I don't want to have to like pause what I'm doing to keep replying to messages, and like that's just very distracting. So I want you guys to study with no distractions, and the best way I find to do that is to use an app called Forest. It's an app that you can use that pretty much prevents you from using any social media while you are using it. So what you do is that you set a timer on the app for however long you want to stay focused for, and then for that amount of time you will not be able to use your phone, and then when the timer is done, then you can use your phone. Now these last two tips that I'm about to give you are like what really absolutely oh, did I say it like that? Absolutely. These are what really worked for me, and honestly, if I didn't do these two last tips that I'm about to give you, I don't think like it would have worked out. So just pay close attention to these. So this next tip is the Pomodoro Technique, and this is why I said to take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because this technique may not work for everybody. So just give it a try and like see if you like it, if it works for you, and if it doesn't, just, you know, let it go. So if you don't know what the Pomodoro Technique is, it's a time management method developed years ago by someone called Francisco Cirillo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm pronouncing it how I want to. So in this technique, you set a timer for 25 minutes and do nothing but study. And after the 25 minutes, you take a short break of 5 minutes, and then what you can do in that 5 minutes is totally up to you. You know, you can like go on social media to revive yourself, take a short walk, drink some water. Well, you can drink water while you're studying, but like, I don't know, whatever you want to do in those 5 minutes is completely up to you, because it's your break. And then when the 5 minutes are up, you set the timer again for 25 minutes, and again, you can use the Forest app for this. This is what I use the Forest app for, and you just keep doing that, studying, break, studying, break, studying, until you are completely satisfied with all that you have completed. And I also want to mention that on the Forest app itself, it's like, it was made to cater to using the Pomodoro Technique, because on the app there's a feature on it that after the 25 minutes are up, you can choose to take a break, and the break is already set in the app to 5 minutes. So just for my people out there that are curious about the science behind the Pomodoro Technique, according to themuse.com, the idea behind this technique is that the timer instills a sense of urgency. So rather than feeling like you have endless time in the workday to get things done, and then ultimately squandering those precious work hours on distractions, you now only have 25 minutes to make as much progress on the task as possible. And this is completely true. So just think about it, like when you're cramming for an exam, don't you find that you get a lot more done than if you had all the time in the world, because you're like trying to get like as much done as possible? But in this technique, you're not like cramming, so you're not like going through things quickly. You're just trying to stay completely focused, but you still take your time and like make sure you understand the work. And personally, I started using this Pomodoro Technique like in sixth form, I think, when I was doing upper 6. And you can use this like I said, you can use all of these tips as early as you want in your educational life. And then the final tip, which completely puts the nail in the coffin for you to get those A's, is spaced repetition. And if you don't know what spaced repetition is, well, according to artofmemory.com, spaced repetition is a learning technique that incorporates increasing intervals of time between subsequent review of previously learned material in order to exploit the psychological spacing effect. So basically that's just trying to say that you learn something now and it's in your short-term memory, but then you review that material like at increment intervals. You review the material at different points in time so that it gets stored in your long-term memory. So now you're probably wondering, well, you know, you tell me do spaced repetition, but like, how can I do the spaced repetition? Well, you can use flashcards, and not just any old flashcards that you have to write on paper and then you have to flip it and then you're gonna lose it because it's on paper. No honey, you can download an app to your laptop called Anki-Droid. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I have been dabbling in Anki-Droid and trying to understand it, and I was using Quizlet at first, but I just, you know, find Anki to be a little bit better. So like honestly, this app kind of took me back to my childhood days, when my mom and I would be in the kitchen and we'd be practicing my times tables, and like even in primary school when we would have to say our times tables like at lunch, like I think it was like every other day or whatever, I don't know when we would say it, but like we would say it at lunch like often, and eventually I was able to say my timetables off the top of my head. Like I don't gotta be thinking that hard to know what 2 times 2 is. 2 times 2 is 8. I'm kidding, I know 2 times 2 is 4. So yeah, the point I'm trying to get across to you guys is that Anki works in like the exact same way, except that it's a little better. So it has an algorithm in it that basically lets you know on each day which flashcards you need to review, and it kind of like tucks away the flashcards that you have already committed to memory to long-term memory based on the options you choose. It has the options again, which are the ones you would have to review like constantly. It has the option hard after you have reviewed it for the first time. It has the option hard, which is I think you have to review it in about 2 days, and then it has the option good, which is like, you know, say you get it and it's good, you answered the question correctly. It has a longer interval for you to have to review it again, and then it has the option easy, which means you would review it at an even later time than if you chose good, because it's probably lodged in your long-term memory just like your cell phone number. Oh, and by the way, there are many other flashcard apps that I have seen when I was looking up spaced repetition. I just know that most people use Anki Droid, so I gave it a try. My friend also used it when he was in Cape. He did really well on his. He got an exhibition. That's right, he got a Barbados exhibition. Yeah, it has success rates, guys. It has success rates. So I was using Quizlet last semester, and it kind of almost had the same technique, just not as good, which is why I, you know, moved over to Anki. And if there's one tip that I want you to take away from this, guys, is to use spatial repetition, because that is what helps you to remember, okay? Like, you can do all the other things, but the chances of you actually retaining the information and just remembering everything, especially in medical school, like, medical school is so much. It is so much. You have so much work to accomplish, so much information you have to remember in such a short space of time, and you need to learn it for life. So if there is one thing, una cosa that you remember from this video, is that I want you to use spatial repetition, okay? It will help you. But that is all the tips I have for you guys today. I hope you learned something. I mean, it was all about learning, so tell me you learned something, please. But before you go, I need to let you guys know of an Instagram page that I wish I had before I started medical school, and it's called Caribbean Med. And guess what? It was made for you. It was made specifically for Caribbean medical students and future Caribbean medical students. And I don't mean offshore US schools, okay? Because if you type in Caribbean medical schools, you will find a whole list of offshore US schools. I am talking about Caribbean schools made in the Caribbean by Caribbean people, with a Caribbean curriculum, with an accreditation by the Caribbean board. So if you are a Caribbean citizen, this was made for you. I don't know how much time I can tell you I spent searching for information specifically for Caribbean students, and I found things about the US and of the UK, but no honey, this is for you. This was made for Caribbean medical students and future Caribbean students, with the intent to help the future Caribbean medical students get into medical school and to help the current medical students crush medical school. And trust me, it's been helping me too. They have some really interesting posts out there, so if you fall into any of the two categories I just mentioned, a Caribbean medical student or a future Caribbean medical student, go check out their page. And if you're not from the Caribbean, like, we're all medical students, go check it out. It's gonna help you regardless of where you're from. So now that I've mentioned that, we are at the end of this video, and I thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I really hope these tips helped you. Comment down below if you've tried any of them and they have helped you, and which one has helped you and which one hasn't. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends so they can do well on their exams as well, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!